When she comes back, it rarely starts with a clear message or a direct confession. It starts with curiosity. Silence doesn't break suddenly, it cracks quietly. Before she ever reaches out with intention, she begins watching again. She checks your social presence, pays attention to your patterns, and looks for signs of emotional availability. This curiosity isn't random, it's the result of emotional space finally giving her room to feel what she avoided before. When you were present, consistent, and emotionally available, she didn't need to wonder. She knew where you stood. That certainty made it easy to drift without consequence. But once distance set in and you stopped overextending, the dynamic changed. Curiosity replaced comfort, and curiosity is the first signal that emotional interest is waking up. This curiosity is quiet and internal at first. She doesn't announce it. She doesn't ask questions directly. She observes. She notices whether you're still reactive, still waiting, still emotionally open. She wants to know if returning would be easy or if the ground has shifted. Curiosity isn't about connection yet, it's about safety. Most men miss this phase because they're looking for words. They expect apologies, explanations, or dramatic reappearances. But attraction doesn't restart through speeches, it restarts through emotional tension. Curiosity creates that tension. It pulls her attention back toward you without pressure. You might notice subtle signs, a random view, a delayed like, a comment that feels unnecessary. These aren't accidents, they're feelers. She's reopening a door just enough to see if it's still unlocked. And how you respond or don't matters more than anything you could say. If you react quickly, emotionally, or with visible eagerness, curiosity fades. It turns into certainty again, and certainty without commitment kills momentum. But if you remain calm, grounded, and unchanged, curiosity deepens. It turns into thought. Thought turns into emotional pull. What's important is that you don't chase clarity at this stage. You don't call it out. You don't ask what it means. Curiosity needs space to grow, it needs unanswered questions. When you give her too much information too soon, you relieve the tension she needs to feel to move forward. This phase is also where many men accidentally disqualify themselves by trying to do it right. They overcorrect, they try to appear strong or indifferent. But the goal isn't performance, it's emotional consistency. You're not acting unavailable, you're simply not reattaching yourself to outcomes. As curiosity builds, she starts imagining scenarios, what it would feel like to talk again, whether you've changed, whether the connection would feel different this time. Imagination is powerful because it personalizes desire. She's no longer reacting to you, she's thinking about you. Curiosity is the seed. It doesn't guarantee return, but nothing happens without it. If she comes back, it's because curiosity wasn't rushed, forced, or smothered. And when curiosity is allowed to mature naturally, it opens the door for everything that follows. After curiosity settles in, the next thing that appears is emotional testing. This is where she begins to probe without fully revealing her intentions. It's subtle, indirect, and often confusing if you don't understand what's happening. She's not reaching out to reconnect yet. She's reaching out to measure, to feel, to see how safe it is to step closer without risking rejection or loss of control. These tests don't look dramatic. They come as casual messages, inside jokes, random check ins, or questions that seem meaningless on the surface. How have you been? That reminded me of you. Hope you're doing well. None of these are accidents. Each one is a small emotional tap to see if the line is still live. What she's really testing is your emotional position. Are you still invested? Are you resentful? Are you cold? Are you eager? She's watching tone, timing, and energy more than words. The content of the message matters far less than how you respond. Most men fail here because they respond with their past emotions. If they were hurt, they sound distant or passive aggressive. If they were longing, they respond too fast, too long, too warmly. Both extremes tell her the same thing: the dynamic hasn't changed. And if the dynamic hasn't changed, her feelings won't either. Emotional testing is about uncertainty. She needs to feel that you're stable but not predictable, calm but not waiting, open but not chasing. That balance keeps her leaning in rather than pulling back. This is also where ego and fear collide inside her. Part of her wants reassurance, another part wants to protect herself. So she sends a message that gives her plausible deniability. If you respond badly, she can retreat and tell herself she didn't mean anything by it. If you respond well, curiosity turns into emotional engagement. Your role here isn't to impress, it's to remain centered. Short, relaxed responses, no emotional explanations, no relationship talk, no digging into the past. When you respond as someone who is content and unaffected, it creates contrast. She expected either neediness or bitterness. Instead, she finds emotional neutrality. That neutrality is powerful. It makes her wonder what changed. It forces her to recalibrate how she sees you. Emotional attraction doesn't grow from being convinced, it grows from being intrigued. Another mistake men make is trying to escalate too quickly once she reaches out. They think, this is my chance, so they push for meetup, a conversation, or clarity, but emotional testing is fragile. Pressure collapses it. When she tests, she's not ready to move yet. She's gathering data. When you don't rush, Something interesting happens. She tests again and again. Each test comes a little closer. Messages become more frequent. Tone becomes warmer. The questions become more personal. This progression only happens when she feels safe exploring without being pulled into something she's not ready for. This phase is less about action and more about restraint. You're not trying to win her back. You're allowing her to move toward you at her pace. When she feels that freedom, her guard lowers. Emotional testing is the bridge between interest and intention. Handle with calm, and it naturally leads to the next sign, emotional reattachment beginning to form. After the testing phase passes, something deeper starts to happen beneath the surface, and this is where most men don't realize the shift until it's already underway. She begins to emotionally reattach. This doesn't happen loudly or dramatically. It happens quietly, internally, long before she ever admits it out loud. Her feelings start reorganizing themselves around you again, not because you did something big, but because you didn't interfere with the process. At this stage, she's no longer just curious about you. She's feeling you, your presence, your absence, your energy. You start to occupy mental space again. She thinks about past moments, shared memories, and how she felt when things were good. Emotional attraction is tied to feelings, not logic, and now those feelings are waking up. You'll notice this in the way she communicates. Conversation become longer without you pushing them. She asks questions that go beyond surface level updates. She wants to know what you've been up to, what you're working on, what excites you. This isn't small talk anymore. It's emotional alignment. She's reconnecting to the version of you that once made her feel alive. Another clear sign is vulnerability. She may open up about stress, doubts, or things she normally keeps guarded. This isn't accidental. When a woman feels emotionally safe with a man, she reveals herself. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's trust. And trust only forms when she feels you're grounded, not reactive. What's important here is that you don't confuse emotional reattachment with commitment. She's not back yet. She's reconnecting emotionally, testing whether the emotional bond still feels right. If you rush to label it, define it, or lock it down, you disrupt the natural flow. Attraction grows when it's allowed to breathe. Many men sabotage this phase by becoming overly available. They cancel plans, respond instantly, and shift their focus entirely onto her again. That sends a subtle message that your life stopped the moment she returned, and that's not attractive. What drew her back was your emotional self sufficiency, not your availability. Stay consistent with who you've become. Continue living your life, respond warmly, but don't overextend. Let her be the one investing more emotionally. When she shares, you listen. When she opens up, you stay present, not preachy, not solution focused. Masculine presence is calm, steady, and non judgmental. This is also where she starts comparing you to others, whether consciously or unconsciously. And when you remain centered, you stand out. You're no longer the guy trying to win her back. You're the man who doesn't need to chase connection because connection naturally forms around him. Emotional reattachment is fragile but powerful. It's built on safety, mystery, and consistency. When you allow her to feel without pressure, her desire deepens on its own. And when that emotional bond feels real again, then the next shift happens naturally. She begins to move toward rebuilding closeness. Once emotional reattachment takes hold, a subtle but critical shift follows, and this is where the dynamic truly starts to turn in your favor. She begins to seek reassurance without directly asking for it. This is one of the earliest signs that she's moving closer again. Not reassurance in words like, "Do you still care about me?" but reassurance in energy, attention, and presence. She wants to feel that the connection still exists and that you're open to it without you spelling anything out. You'll see this in small, indirect ways. She may bring up inside jokes, shared memories, or moments from the past that had emotional weight. This isn't nostalgia for fun, it's emotional probing. She's checking whether the bond still has life. When she mentions something meaningful from before, she's not living in the past. She's testing the emotional bridge between then and now. Another sign is how she reacts to your attention. If you respond calmly and positively, but without intensity or pressure, she relaxes. That relaxation is key. It tells her she can move toward you without fear of being overwhelmed. If instead you suddenly become overly enthusiastic or emotionally heavy, she feels the pressure and pulls back. Women are extremely sensitive to emotional pressure, especially after distance. She may also start creating small opportunities to connect. A casual message that doesn't need to be sent, a reaction to something you post, a random check, and that seems unnecessary. These aren't accidents, they're emotional feelers. She's testing how easy it feels to step back into your world. At this stage, she's watching how you handle closeness. Do you stay centered or do you lose yourself? Do you keep your boundaries, your routines, your purpose? Or do you shift everything to accommodate her return? What she wants to feel is that you're emotionally available but not dependent. One of the biggest mistakes men make here is seeking verbal clarity, asking where things are going, what she wants, or why she came back. That kills momentum. Attraction doesn't grow through conversations about attraction. It grows through shared emotional experiences that feel natural and unforced. The strongest move you can make is to mirror her level of investment while maintaining your own life. If she reaches out, you engage. If she opens up, you listen. But you don't chase reassurance from her in return. Your calm confidence becomes the reassurance she's looking for. This phase is where she starts feeling safe enough to imagine closeness again. Safety doesn't mean predictability, it means emotional stability. She wants to know that if she leans in, you won't collapse or cling. When she senses that steadiness, her anxiety fades, her trust grows, and the final shift begins to form, the desire to move from emotional connection back into real closeness. As her return becomes more emotionally real, something deeper starts to happen beneath the surface. This is the stage where her internal conflict shows itself. She wants you, but she's also afraid of repeating the same emotional pattern that caused distance in the first place. That inner tension is one of the strongest signs she's genuinely coming back, not just checking her options. You'll notice inconsistency, but it's different from before. It's not coldness or disinterest. It's hesitation. One moment she's warm, open, and engaged, and the next she pulls back slightly or slows down. This isn't manipulation, it's her trying to regulate her emotions. She's moving forward, then pausing to make sure she feels safe doing so. During this phase, she may start asking subtle questions that reveal vulnerability, questions about your mindset, your values, or how you see relationships now. She's not interviewing you, she's looking for evidence that growth has happened. She wants to know that the emotional environment will be different this time without you having to promise anything. This is where patience becomes power. Most men misread this hesitation as rejection and either over explain pressure or emotionally withdraw. All three destroy attraction. What actually builds trust here is emotional consistency. You stay steady regardless of her fluctuations. You don't chase when she warms up, and you don't punish her when she slows down. She's also paying close attention to how you handle uncertainty. When you don't demand answers or clarity, you signal emotional maturity. You show that you're comfortable letting things unfold naturally. That's rare and it's incredibly attractive. Another sign at this stage is that she begins to reveal more about her fears, past disappointments, or relationship wounds. This isn't casual conversation. This is her lowering her guard. When she shares these things, she's subconsciously asking, will you understand me or will you judge me? Your job isn't to fix or advise, it's to listen, acknowledge, and remain grounded. The energy between you also changes. The tension becomes warmer, more intimate, and more emotionally charged. Silence feels comfortable instead of awkward. Conversations flow without effort. She starts feeling emotionally connected again, not because of words, but because of how she feels around you. At this point, attraction is rebuilding itself naturally. You don't need to push it forward. You just need to avoid pulling it backward with insecurity or impatience. When she feels that closeness can grow without pressure, her resistance fades, and her desire to fully step back into your life becomes inevitable. The final shift happens quietly, and most men miss it because they're looking for a dramatic moment or a clear confession. But when she's truly coming back, her behavior changes in a grounded, consistent way. The emotional games fade, the uncertainty settles, and what replaces it is intentional effort. She begins to show up reliably, not just when she's bored, lonely, or emotional, but when life is busy and distractions are everywhere. She makes time, follows through. This consistency is the strongest signal that her interest has moved from curiosity back to commitment. Attraction may spark in moments, but intention shows in patterns. You'll also notice that she becomes more open about integrating you in her life again. She talks about future-oriented things casually without pressure, plans, ideas, shared experiences, not heavy relationship conversations, but natural inclusion. You're no longer a separate chapter, you're part of her ongoing story. Another key sign is how she responds to boundaries. When you don't drop everything for her, when you maintain your purpose, routines, and standards, she doesn't push back. She respects it. In fact, that respect deepens her attraction. It tells her she's choosing you, not rescuing you or controlling you. At this stage, emotional safety is fully restored. She no longer feels the need to test you or pull away to regulate her emotions. Instead, she leans in naturally. Affection increases, eye contact lasts longer, her tone softens, physical closeness feels easy and unforced. These are not strategies, they're instincts returning. The most important thing here is restraint. This is where men either win long term or sabotage everything. If you rush, label, or try to lock things down prematurely, you reintroduce pressure. The power is in allowing her to continue choosing you step by step without interruption. You stay present, masculine, emotionally centered. You lead through your actions, not your words. You create moments, not speeches. And because there's no fear, no chasing, and no neediness, she feels free to commit, which makes her want to commit even more. What brings her back fully isn't logic, explanations, or promises. It's the experience of being with a man who doesn't need her but genuinely wants her and gives her the space to want him back just as deeply. When that balance is in place, the connection doesn't just return, it stabilizes, grows,